Now we are going to the statement of Mrs. Nurgalieva, and that is extremely interesting because that is a little bit, how to say, more a Western angle of view compared to the Chinese one, just geographically. Okay.
Good afternoon, colleagues. Thank you once more. Is there a microphone here? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, I'll speak louder. Can everyone hear me now?
This microphone doesn't work. What's the matter?
No, it's loud.
Yeah. No.
Well, I can speak from that side.
Then we have microphone somewhere here. Just deliver the microphone.
All right, can you hear me now? Okay. Well, thank you once more, Vladimir Ivanovich, for the invitation. Good afternoon, colleagues. I would like today to present to you a glass which is half full and leave to you to interpret and see how you will perceive this region. I will speak about the Eurasian heartland. That will include Central Asia and South Caucasus. As the initial thrust of the Belt and Road Initiative will pass through this region, I believe that right now it is lacking the attention that it is required for the success of the project, especially the Belt part of the project. As mentioned today, it is the largest ever complex development initiatives. However, the region that I will speak about is one of the most unknown to the world and diverse as well as volatile. There is a saying in this part of the world that the caravan is as fast as its slowest camel. I believe this should be taken seriously due to the constraints that the project may face. After the Belt and Road Summit in Beijing, there was an article in the New York Times and where the professor from Cornell University, professor of trade policy, Aswar Prasad, mentioned that there is a lack of investor enthusiasm for the region because of poor economies, weak economies, and poor governance. So here we go. Central Asia and Caucasus have obtained their independence after the end of the Soviet Union 25 years ago. As mentioned earlier, indeed, the region has been inward-looking, mostly concentrated on their internal problems and taking on the market economy, developing the democratic societies, and so on. Here's some numbers at a glance. This is the heartland, the name we took from Mackinder, geographer Mackinder, in his representation of this region. These are 5 countries in Central Asia, 3 in South Caucasus, 85 million people. It is a vast territory. I will just go a little bit about lacking proper infrastructure for the modern day opportunities, and more than 30 languages. Most of the countries are Sunni Muslim, although all the population practices all the world's largest religions, including Christianity, Buddhism, and Judaism. The population is young, literate, and open to new developments, as you can see later. Politically, the region is diverse, very diverse, from already a recognized democracy in Kyrgyzstan to an authoritarian government in Turkmenistan and what is called a progressive autocracy in Kazakhstan. The economic systems are also quite diverse, which has I would say, a profound effect on the society and the living conditions of the people living in these countries. Energy and resource-rich countries such as Azerbaijan, Turkmenistan, and Kazakhstan are naturally enjoying the benefits of the high prices for the natural resources in recent years, whereas Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, and Uzbekistan are relying here, it is said, on agricultural potential, but also, I would say, on the migrant labor remittances. Social and cultural capital. Well, in 25 years, this is, I believe, an important dynamic we see here. The population has increased by almost 35%, so, and continues to grow at the same rate. Here are some of the numbers, as I've said, that show how diverse this region is, with the new opportunity for the region, for the internet connectedness. This diversity can actually become a difficulty to be interconnected. For example, the competitiveness index, as you can see, 37 in Azerbaijan and 111 in Kyrgyzstan. Or what about the internet penetration? 14% in Turkmenistan only, and 70% in Armenia. The Human Development Index, also 56% in 56 in Kazakhstan and 129 in Tajikistan. All of these numbers and more will be presented in our upcoming report of the Skolkovo Institute of Emerging Market Studies in June, where you will find comprehensive analysis of the regional economics. Nonetheless, the region was able to attract foreign direct investment since the end of the Soviet era, over 200 billion US dollars. One of the largest projects which should be mentioned is the Western Europe, Western China Highway, the Eurasia project, which is quite large in its scope as well as cost. Now, the geoeconomics of the Eurasian heartland, as it is stated in our report. The partners, well, the region has been historically at the crossroads between Russia, China, the Islamic world, and the West. More recently, for example, in the 2000s, especially, the involvement of the Western states, United States, for example, in the region was huge due to the military mission in Afghanistan. However, it is decreasing now, and now we see that main partners for the region are Russia, which is historical, politically, and trading partner, as well as the security guarantor, which you will later see in the security blocks and the partnerships that are taking place right now on the Eurasian continent. Russia is also a most desired destination for the migrant labor. For example, Tajikistan's GDP is almost 35% dependent on Russian labor migrants working in Russia. China right now is, I would say, an emerging large power in the region. This is due to the growing trade, larger investment. I would say it has become a large investment partner already, and a major creditor to most of the countries. Interestingly, China right now has become a third destination for education, only after the United States and UK, thus ahead of most of the European countries. The Islamic powers. As I mentioned before, most of the countries except for Georgia and Armenia are practice Sunni Muslim, most of the population. There are also a large amount of Turkish schools which were opened back in 1990s. So right now, however, Turkey is decreasing in its initiative in the region, whereas Iran is increasing its presence in the region with its new open economy since January 2000, since January 16. So Saudi Arabia is important to know because economically it is interested in agriculture potential. However, they are financing a lot of the religious education as well as the Hajj quotas. We can see that Eastern powers are balancing Chinese presence. For example, Japan is growing its presence in the region in order to secure resources for themselves. As well, Japan is favorable in terms of technological and innovative solutions. So is South Korea. South Korean presence, must be noted, is largest in Uzbekistan. India, we see it as a potential large partner in qualified human resources. There are about 3,000 engineering schools in India with 1 million graduates every year, which we hope to attract to the region. And you can see that also India is an opportunity for the bottom of the pyramid goods. Security issues with the US involvement in Afghanistan, we can see the results of it still. However, however, right now we believe that the U.S. presence will continue to decrease in the region. And Europe remains in top 10 of the foreign direct investment providers in the region, as well as promoting human rights and democratic values. So, as you can see, this region, the heartland, is very, very, very rich in stakeholders. This is why we see that the region should be addressed with a multiple stakeholder approach. Integration platforms, the Eurasian Economic Union, which allows free trade between all the members, and it is a market of actual movement of goods and services and human capital. And it is a market of 200 million consumers. Shanghai Cooperation Organization will be addressed later a little bit due to the security guarantor that Russia and China would need to address on the Belt Initiative. After all, it is a trade route, and having billions of dollars of goods passing through this territory would require a huge attention on the security, because it is a volatile region due to the ISIS risk, and as well as the social and political concerns, which may destabilize the region and thus become a risk factor for the initiative. The Collective Security Treaty Organization is one of the most important, led by Russia, in the region in order to secure the southern part of the region. Political transition, as mentioned before. For example, in the previous slide, you saw that in 2017, we saw an 8% economic growth in Uzbekistan. As you know, there is a new president in the country since December of last year, so that added the necessary dynamic. The security, in addition to the terrorist threat and the drug traffic, which can occur from Afghanistan, we also have some concerns about the ethnic conflicts that had occurred previously and are still, I would say, in the risk zone. And we also are concerned about the water security disputes, which also may arise in the near future, and thus again pose a risk for destabilizing the region and again affecting this initiative. This is just a short perspective of how we see the region and the weaknesses, especially here. This is the part, I believe, this is where the initiative will take place, on building the infrastructure, the necessary financial institutions that would need to be present in order to implement the project. And inclusivity, that means including the region in the world trade. Some of the opportunities, as mentioned before, among them is the Great Comprehensive Eurasian Partnership, which we're discussing today as well. And the digitalization, this is another, I would say, another vector in the development of these countries, because although the infrastructure development is necessary, it is costly, whereas the digitalization path can lead to countries becoming independent from their neighbors and exporting goods which they cannot do without the infrastructure. Threats I've mentioned before, and the strength, of course, I would highlight the human capital, which we have a strong cabinet. Beyond just business, so this, all of these countries are very interested in the implementation of the Belt and Road initiatives. However, they all would like to be a part of this project, not only a transit territory. And for that, I believe that the ideal pyramid should take place, where the project will, it will be a multi-stakeholder approach, obviously, involving all of the countries in the region, but also the hybrid financing instruments, because the project will take place through many countries passing through this region. So to speak about the ideal pyramid that there's an opportunity to reinstate, I believe that the territory should be used not only in the transit but also in the development, sustainable development way. Human capital should be addressed as well as local empowerment and capacity building. The next Belt and Road Summit in China will be held in 2019. So that leaves us 2 years, I believe, to address one of the main questions on these initiatives. What would be the measure of success of this project? From the perspective of the people of this region, I can say that most of them are looking not only at the infrastructure that will give the possibility to for growth and to be included in the world trade, but also for the human development, employment of local people, and thus raising the social social aspect and living conditions of people in the region. And that will basically these are all small countries, and they all want to take part to be in the decision-making process when it concerns to this project and initiatives. Thank you.
Thank you very much.